Let's go back. We'll go to Philippians. We're going to go through here and read some of these verses in Philippians to really see this love that Paul has for the church, a love for the church that I want to challenge us. I think it's not just a love that's singled out for that apostles should have, or could have, or did have, but a love and a burden for the church that we should all have. And it'd be interesting to see how churches would transform if more people took this kind of ownership on. And so the first just starts here in the beginning, in chapter 1 of Philippians, verses 3 through 11. I thank my God every time I remember you. In all my prayers for all of you, I always pray with joy because of your partnership in the gospel from the first day until now, being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. It is right for me to feel this way about all of you, since I have you in my heart. For whether I am in chains or defending and confirming the gospel, all of you share in God's grace with me. God can testify how I long for all of you with the affection of Christ Jesus. And this is my prayer, that your love may abound more and more in knowledge and depth of insight, so that you may be able to discern what is best and may be pure and blameless until the day of Christ, filled with the fruit of righteousness that comes through Jesus Christ to the glory and praise of God. There's two big things that he prays. He says in verse 3, I thank my God every time I remember you. So that's a really interesting thing. Every time he remembered the Philippian church, he said thank you to God. Every time he remembered them, he thanked God for them. And then the other thing in verse 9, he says, and this is my prayer, and he kind of explains a prayer that he says, I'm going to pray for you. I pray for you all the time that you would grow. That you would grow in your love, that you would grow in your knowledge and in your understanding of God's greatness and goodness. And that is his prayer. He lets them know, I am praying for you. And I am praying, I'm thanking God for you, and I'm praying that you would grow. That you'd grow in his grace, that you'd grow in knowledge, that you'd grow in wisdom, that you'd grow in love towards one another. Okay, so that is the burden that Paul had for the church, is he desperately wanted to see those things happen. But he was also thankful. It's not just a love that's singled out for that apostles should have, or could have, or did have, but a love and a burden for the church that we should all have. And it'd be interesting to see how churches would transform if more people took this kind of ownership